For the first time in the history of the Big Ten, the Gymnastics Championships come to Lincoln, Nebraska. And tonight at the Big Ten Men's Championships, we will determine a team and all-around champion. The Big Ten is the largest men's gymnastics conference in the country and the most represented in the polls. All 7 teams you will see here tonight are ranked. Happy to have you with us alongside the former Olympian, John Roethlisberger. I'm Lisa Byington. And John, you won 3 team championships with Minnesota. How fun is this competition tonight?
Honestly, Lisa, I've been in every gymnastic competition you can pretty much be in, and this one ranks right at the top. The Big Ten championships, it's loud, it's exciting, and everybody wants to say at the end of their career that they're a Big Ten champ.
Michigan has done exactly that, coming in as the defending Big Ten champ. What are their chances of repeating tonight?
Well, there's a very good chance. If Michigan comes out and does their job, they're going to be almost unbeatable. They're 19-0 this season. In fact, they haven't lost. Kurt Golder and his team hasn't lost since March of 2013. They have depth. They have some big routines. They're going to be tough to knock off. If any team can do it, though, Ohio State has had a great year. In fact, they are ranked higher than Michigan in the polls right now. And Rustam Sharapov said of his team that this team has bought into his philosophy more than any other team he's had. They understand the relationship between hard work and success, and this team has put in the hard work.
Much like the team competition, in the all-around competition, chasing a Wolverine, Sam Mikulak trying to make a little bit of history here and win his 3rd all-around title of his career.
Yeah, and in the all-around, like the team, there's no question that Sam is the guy to beat. If he does his job, if he hits, he's not beatable. He doesn't have any weaknesses. I think in his spare time, he leaps tall buildings in a single bound. The guy's won just about every competition you can win. If somebody can put pressure on him, though, one guy is CJ Maestas. He had a tough year last year, had an injury, but skill-wise, he can hang with just about anybody. Ohio State, they also have a young stud, a freshman, Sean Melton, recently just made the senior national team for the United States. He hopes to put Ohio State on his back and maybe sneak out an all-around title as well.
Those are 3 all-arounders to keep your eye on. There's 7 teams, too, chasing a championship. 6 of them taking part in our first rotation, which is coming up next.
From Maple, New Jersey.
The championship to be decided here on the Big Ten Network. 7 men's gymnastics teams going for a team championship. Of course, an all-around to be decided here tonight as well. The history, this is what it looks like. Illinois, 27 team titles, followed by Minnesota's 21 and Michigan's 16. In fact, the Wolverines looking for the first back-to-back titles for the first time since the 1999 and 2000 seasons. The home team, Nebraska Cornhuskers, parading in. This is the first time for the men's or women's competition that Nebraska gets a chance here to host the Gymnastics Championships and a Bob Devaney Center that has seen recent renovations. Some seats were taken out, some suites were put in. Plenty of fans here in attendance. You'll see the women's gymnastic team here at Nebraska who led out these men's gymnastic teams. Of course, the women's championships happening last weekend. We're going through the starting lineups here for all 7 teams. As we had mentioned, a very competitive men's gymnastics conference. All 7 teams ranked here in the country. Here is what your first rotation will look like, starting with the Ohio State Buckeyes. Ohio State, the highest ranked team in the Big Ten. They start on floor. Keep an eye on Danny Steiner. He finished 2nd last year in the individual event finals. Illinois will begin on the horse. Looking forward to find some consistency the last 2 meets, including tonight. How about back-to-back trips to Lincoln, back-to-back 9-hour bus rides for the Illini. For Penn State, they will start on the rings. They've been hurt with injuries this year. They look to finish strong. Trevor Howard there in the anchor spot, ranked 5th in the country there on the rings. We will take a break and let you know about the rest of the rotation, but first, the national anthem. about that, John Roethlisberger?
I don't know. I'm trying out, man. Those guys are solid.
After that, how about to chase a championship here between these 7 teams? 3 more teams to go through here in this first rotation. How about Michigan lurking, like I said, for the first back-to-back title since '99 and 2000. Sam Mikulak will anchor all 6 events, looking to defend his all-around title. As for Iowa Hawkeyes, over to the P-Bars, coming off a school record last meet, and the last time here in Lincoln, March 15th, they beat the 4 other teams there that day. Cyrus, Dobre-Mofid has potential to make the individual finals. And for Minnesota at the high bar, finished 3rd at the Big Ten Championships last year, and for the first time, finished on the podium since 2007. Ellis Mannon will be their all-around competitor here tonight. Nebraska, of course, drawing the bye here in this first rotation, and there will be 7 rotations. 1 team will definitely get that bye. We'll start with Illinois and go through the coaches. Justin Spring in his 5th year here guiding the Illini. Of course, he won that national championship in 2012. Had a little bit of a rough year in 2013, but the Illini are healthy, and he's hoping to get another championship here tonight. The Iowa Hawkeyes, led by J.D. Reeve. The first Big Ten title, hoping to come to the Iowa Hawkeyes, the first in a while in many years. Mike Burns in charge of the Minnesota Golden Gophers. Of course, his team starting out, as we had saw there on the high bar. And Rustam Sharipov, in his 3rd year, has done some great things for the Ohio State Buckeyes. We mentioned in the Open, Ohio State is ranked the highest in the national polls of all the Big Ten teams you will see here tonight. Penn State, led by Randy Jepson. They finished 2nd in 2013, chasing that championship here tonight. And Kurt Golder, what he has done with the Michigan Wolverines, not only the defending Big Ten champs, but the defending NCAA champs, and they will be hosting those championships in a couple of weeks from now. So John Roethlisberger, the 2nd year that this competition will see a 5-up, 5-count format.
Yeah, and just to explain to people watching that don't know, typically gymnastics, you can drop a score. So let's say early in the season, for example, they put 6 people up on each event. They can get rid of that lowest score. If you watch the women's Big Ten championships last weekend, for example, they put 6 on an event, they get rid of the lowest score, which gives you a little bit of a cushion. You know, if you have a mistake, if you have a catastrophe, you can dump it from your team's score and not have to count it. But here at the men's meet, every gymnast out, every score, every deduction, every great routine for that matter, goes right to the bottom line of that team score. That makes the pressure go up exponentially. As an athlete, I know as an athlete, we didn't have to do the 5-up, 5-count, but when we went up after a guy who missed, for example, you knew that at that point every score was going to count. And the pressure you felt, you know, that jersey they're wearing, the collar just gets a little tighter around your neck. But here, right from the get-go, every mistake is going to be glaring if they have them.
And we want to say that we're watching all these teams here warm up. Just under a minute here left to go before we get our first rotation. Now, to get to your point, John, that change was actually made in March 1st, where at the beginning of the regular season, you could compete with 6 gymnasts. And then after March 1st, it's a 5-up, 5-count switch.
Yeah, and I think that gives the teams an opportunity to kind of get more participation, get more guys out on the floor, see who's going to be there for your finals lineup, for your Big Ten championship lineup. So it gives more athletes an opportunity to get on the floor, but it's good for the coaches to kind of round their team into shape and see, you know, who's really going to step up when it comes championship time.
About 20 seconds to go here on the warm-up clock as we see all 6 teams here. I mentioned Nebraska is the 1 team out of the 7 that did draw the bye. And in talking to Chuck Schmelka, he had said, you know what? Hopefully after tonight, we will like having the bye after the first rotation.
It doesn't matter what your lineup is, what rotation you get as a coach. You're like, this is what we wanted. This is great. This is perfect. And then you convince your team that that's what they wanted as well. So if it's the bye, trust me, that's the best rotation for the Cornhuskers.
It's like asking the football coach, is the bye week coming at the right time of the season?
Exactly.
If they win the next week, then it is, right?
Exactly. Oh, this is such an exciting time of the competition, and I talked about in the Open what energy this meet has, and this is it right here. If you're in the venue, you can see all the teams in their corrals. All the teams have their fans in certain sections, and it's electric.
Jeff Treleaven out of Ohio State, the redshirt junior, is going to kickstart our coverage here. Remember, these teams are going for a team championship, and there are a few individuals going for an all-around.
Jeff is one springy individual, and he can twist. That's where he really excels, on the twisting skills. Like that right there. Floor exercise has basically become a sprint for the men. They have 70 seconds to get their routine done, and within that 70 seconds, they essentially just cruise from corner to corner, seeing how much difficulty and how many passes they can cram in to that short amount of time. 3
judges will be evaluating each event here tonight.
Beautiful 2.5 twist punch, Branny. There's Olympic gold medalist Rustam Sharapov, his coach. Triple twist dismount. Tough dismount, especially when you're tired at the end of a routine. Excellent start for the Buckeyes.
We'll head over to the vault here for Michigan. Syque Caesar, grad student now in Ann Arbor, and what a gymnast he has become.
Not too bad. That's what you want to do out of the gate. Hit that landing, nail it. And this is a great event, honestly. All joking aside, Lisa, I love starting on vault because it's one of those where you can just let it out. You don't have to worry about holding back. You know, event like pommel horse or parallel bars or even high bar, you know, you're right on the edge all the time, and those nerves can have a factor. But vault, you can just hit the gas and go.
Again, all of these 6 events will be taking place here at once. We'll be hopping around to try and show you as many routines and as many gymnasts as we can here tonight. What a wonderful facility to have this take place. Bob Devaney Center, as I had mentioned, underwent recent renovations and is perfect for an event like this. Leroy Clark of Penn State in the 2nd spot here for the Nittany Lions, a redshirt freshman.
And this again is a good event to start on the rings. Like the vault, it's not one of the more nerve-wracking ones, heavy strength event.
We'll head back to Clark's routine. First, let's go over to the vault. Paul Riskawa.
A little more difficult vault, 2.5 twists that time. We saw Syque Caesar do a double twist. That means he's going to have a higher start value. Good job there.
Clark about ready to begin his ring routine.
Randy Jepson talked about Clark as being one of the guys to build on for the future. Has some good skills, just needs a little more polish, which certainly will come with time. Nice strength. If you're at home watching the rings, anytime they do a strength move, it's got to be a 2-second hold. You can be the armchair judge. So right there, 2 seconds. Anything less than 2 seconds is going to be a deduction.
Randy Jepson has said, you know, we are a little bit weaker in this event than in years past. Had some health issues that maybe set us back this year.
Not bad, though. You know, not one of the better routines we're going to see tonight, but it was clean and good landing on the dismount.
Back to the floor, Ohio State competing. Jake Martin, in the 2nd spot in the lineup here for the Buckeyes.
Jake Martin's had a very good year, too. You know, he came off a Winter Cup, which is basically the Winter Nationals for USA Gymnastics, and almost made the U.S. national team there, and I think that gave him a little fire, gave him a little spark. He's ranked in the top 5 in the all-around in the country. Certainly, we didn't talk about him in the open, but should the opportunity arise, he could be in the all-around competition as well.
3 first-place finishes. The last time out, how about in a tri-meet against Oklahoma and Temple? Set a career high in the all-around there, 89.45.
Got a tough dismount. Arabian double front. Man, I tell you what, this whole arena right now, it's a 6-ring circus, and every team seems to be nailing routines, and Jake Martin just comes through big time for Ohio State.
Jeff Treleaven, we saw his routine before him on the floor, recording a 14.95. We'll try to update you with the scores as they come in. Tristan Perez-Rivera here from Michigan on vault.
Capable of big stuff here. Oh, and there's the 2.5 twist. Oh, Michigan is not messing around. 2 stuck vaults early in this rotation. They are pumped.
Tied for second in the country. The Wolverines off to a fiery start. Back over to rings. Néstor Rodriguez, the redshirt junior.
Very nice Maltese. That's called a Nakayama. Also called the bounce cross. Done well. Néstor's part of the Puerto Rican national team. Penn State's always had a very international flavor to their roster.
Here's another gymnast who had surgery, recovery slow, wasn't really ready until January.
The stuck landings in this meet are going to be so important. We'll talk about those more, but it's so critical. Big dismount, double twist and double back. If you can stick those dismounts, anything of a D value or higher, you're going to get 2/10 bonus for sticking a D dismount. That was a D dismount.
His teammate Leroy Clark recording the 14.6. We head back to floor in Ohio State.
Big Arabian Pike double front from Sean Melton. We talked about him as being a contender for the all-around. If he's going to contend, he has got to be perfect right along with his Ohio State Buckeye team. He's trying to knock off the champ, Sam Mikulak, who very rarely will Sam have a mistake.
And that's a senior. This is a freshman.
And in the sport of gymnastics, you know, sometimes you just put that aside because you just never know where greatness is going to come. And there's no doubt in my mind Sean's capable of winning this meet. But I just don't know if he has quite the start values that Sam Mikulak has. He definitely has the poise, though. Two-and-a-half twist dismount. We saw Jeff Treleaven do a triple twist. 2.5 twist, ironically, in some ways is a little more difficult. It's a blind landing. You don't see the floor until your feet hit, but another clean routine for Ohio State. Michigan, Ohio State going toe-to-toe. Can Konner Ackerman match it? Another 2.5. You saw him go outside the line right there. That's going to be 1/10. 1 foot going outside that line is 1/10 off, plus the step, which is probably 3/10 of deduction.
I want to give you the score for Tristan Perez-Rivera. You saw his vault, a career high 15.3 there for Michigan. We head back to the rings.
Beautiful. A Zarian roll to a Maltese, one of the more difficult strength sequences you'll see on rings.
Alexis Torres ranked 7th in the country in this event.
Obviously, rings is about strength, but you saw those swinging skills, those double fronts, those are called Yamawakis. Those have become more important recently with some changes in the rules.
There are never one-syllable words in gymnastics, are there?
Absolutely, and that's why we're so highly intelligent in this sport, Lisa.
You and doctors, right?
Exactly. And there's another double twisting double. Just about puts his hands down. What a fight. Unfortunately, that is going to be some very significant deductions on those landings. Obviously not going to get the bonus points for sticking that dismount.
His teammate Néstor Rodriguez tying a season high at 14.9 before him. Jake Dastrup for Ohio State back on the floor. Part of the U.S. junior national team. Tied his career high on March 15th at a 15.4 on this event.
Whoa! First break I've seen from Ohio State so far. Saw his foot go out of bounds. Like the vault, that's going to be a 1/10 deduction. Nice Thomas. That's a 1.5 twisting 1 and 3 he just did for his last pass. Oh, and you see that little hop? That was an easy side pass. Cannot give away those 10s. Full in, back out, dismount. Good finish. Too many landing deductions, but nothing major. No 1-point deductions, no hands on the ground, so, but did give a little bit away.
Jake Dastrup, will see him in a few other events here tonight. And over to Michigan here on the vault. Sam Mikulak, the senior.
The man, the myth, the legend. He does a 2.5 as well. Oh, and he almost sticks it.
Going over to the horse, this is live.
CJ Maestas, one of the all-around contenders. Actually, the 6th guy on this event, his score will not count towards the team score in Illinois, but I caught a little bit of Illinois on horse, and it was loud and raucous, and they were hitting routines, and they have 5 specialists, rather, that compete for them, as you see CJ fighting to stay on the horse. They actually have 5 specialists in their team lineup, which is very, very unusual. Not bad. One of those events that's tough to come back from having a tricep injury is what he had last year, but probably his weakest event. If he can pick it up from here, he'll be back in that all-around race.
Yeah, his coach saying he's only 80% coming into tonight. Trevor Howard back on rings here for Penn State in the anchor spot.
Very strong kid.
Regular season home finale, scoring 1st place here on the rings.
Ranked number 5 in the country on this event. Certainly a contender to win it. Those swing to handstands, they got to be perfectly smooth. Elbows got to be straight. He struggled a little bit. You can see right there again. Another double-double. Oh, and I don't know.
Does that count?
I don't know, Lisa. You be the judge. I thought I saw his heels move, but that's a tough dismount. Just to give you the difference there, if he has a 1/10 deduction on that landing, it's really a 3/10 swing, because if he sticks it, he gets a 2/10 bonus. So it's a 3/10 swing just on that little heel slide.
Steve Aycock, the junior here from Minnesota.
And this will be interesting. Steve's got a new skill that he's been competing this year. It's called a Coleman. It's a full twisting double back over the bar. Yeah, a full twisting double back over a steel bar. Not really on the top of my to-do list, but he's been real inconsistent on it. I'm not sure if he's going to do it or play it safe. It's called the Tkachev. Going to do another one catching cross arm. That's called the Lynch. Looks like he's not going to do the Coleman, playing a little more conservative, probably smart. Hitting is always going to trump taking those huge risks that aren't necessary.
Nice.
That's a good routine. Very clean.
And a handshake there from the head coach, Mike Burns, saying the high bar's a riskier event. We're glad it's our first event and we get to get it done. Well, the first rotation, exciting and action-packed. We have our second rotation coming up next. BTN goes where you want, when you want it with BTN to Go, presented by Auto Owners Insurance. Watch live events on your computer, tablet, or smartphone. To learn more, visit btntogo.com. Also available in the App Store and on Google Play. One rotation is down, and joining us now, Ohio State men's coach Rustam Sharipov. And coach, ranked 4th in the country on the floor, and you came out with just a little bit better than your season average. How satisfied were you out of the gates?
I think it's a good start, you know. I think we now just got our nerves down after the first rotation. So I think it's a really good start.
Rustam, this is John Roethlisberger. You know, usually in competition, you don't have a bye. You just go from one event to the other without a break. You know, how do you feel about that? And what do you tell your team while they're sitting there waiting?
It's again, so we can totally focus for our rest 5 events, you know, so stay warm. keep moving, you know, because the next rotation is going to come quick. So.
Rustam, thank you for your time. We appreciate it.
You're welcome.
The Buckeyes get this rotation off, and they will move over to the horse. It's always a lot to think about when your next event is the horse.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. They have them sit there and wait, ironically, right before they go to the most nerve-wracking event. So just in case you didn't have enough time to think about the pommel horse, we're going to give you another rotation.
From the last rotation, Lance Alberhaski. This is what he did on the parallel bars.
And Iowa really came on great at the end of the season. Nice double pike. There's that stuck landing we're talking about. That's a bonus. They came on really strong at the end of the year last year, and Coach J.D. Reeves thinks they can do it again.
Taking a look at some of the other routines throughout the first rotation here. That was Chad Mason in the anchor spot, the senior there for Illinois. Illini could be the sleeper team here tonight.
You know, if they put together a good pommel horse rotation, you know, which they did there at the beginning, that's huge to get that under your belt, because that's a nerve-wracking place to start. And really, that can be the great equalizer for the men's gymnastics. Like the balance beam for the women, you know, anything can happen on pommel horse. So even if you have a lead, you can give it up quick on that event.
Jake Martin leading the way as we go through the results after the first rotation, and Jake Martin is leading the way there for the Buckeyes. Again, counting all 5 of these individual scores going into the team total. Illinois on the pommel horse. Chad Mason, you just saw his routine leading the way for the Illini. Jacob Tilsley right behind Mason there. And rings Trevor Howard, a 15-7 there on that event.
Those scores in the 14s, those are good. Those 15s, that's really what you want to see.
Tristan Perez-Rivera, you loved his vault when we watched it, a 15-3. The 15-3, a new career high for him. The parallel bars. Alberhaski, we just saw his routine, followed by Jack Boyle and Mitchell Landau. And we will catch up with the high bar results in just a moment here for Minnesota. Ranked 9th in the country there in that event. All these teams here warming up for the second rotation. Minnesota will go to the floor, Nebraska to the horse, Illinois to the rings, Penn State to the vault, Michigan to the bars, and Iowa to the high bar. We'll start out on the horse, Andrew House, the junior.
Nebraska has had a rough year injury-wise. They lost some guys before the season started, and then when we saw them the last time, they had just a patchwork lineup. But since then, Coach Schmelka said this is the healthiest they have been. He feels like they are much better than their ranking, and they're going to show everybody here this weekend. Nice start for Andrew House.
And there is Chuck Schmelka, the host coach here tonight. He gets a smile, mentioning that the last 3 routines on the horse, good enough to be All-American routines, he feels like. Now that leadoff spot, Andrew House giving them a good score here to start off. We'll head over to the rings in Illinois, and Joey Peters.
And this is a guy that Coach Justin Spring said, nice, by the way, is Arian DeMaltese, first guy up. That's pretty impressive. Said they really needed. He was not in the lineup when we saw him earlier this year, and he's really come together. He's started to get more consistent, and he's got the gymnastics that Illinois is really going to need to provide that depth in the lineup. Perfect swing, except that handstand right there. Get it up, Joey. Come on.
And you notice the number that's unique. It's Illinois, the only team in the country that has numbers like that.
Oh, and there it is. We've seen the double-double 3 times before that, but the first stuck dismount. Great start for Illinois on rings.
We promised you Minnesota's high bar results here in the first rotation, and here they are.
Not good, not good. You see the 13s and the 12. Again, no scores can be dropped. That is a devastating start for Minnesota.
Michigan in the lead after the first rotation. A season-high 75-8 there on vaults. We are underway here already in the second rotation. And Stacey Irvin here from Michigan on the P-bars.
One of the most exciting gymnasts in this entire competition. He wears his emotions on his sleeve, and he does some big gymnastics.
the individual event competition tomorrow night. He is your defending 2013 Big Ten champ in this event.
Michigan ranked #1 in the country in parallel bars. Watch this right here. Very unique. We saw that first from Sam Mikulak. Looks like Stacey Irvin's borrowed it from his teammate. Oh, and he hung that up. That was a little hairy right there. Looked like his rotation just stalled, but he found his feet nonetheless.
A Michigan score coming in. Jordan Gaarenstroom, a career-high 14-9 on the P-bars. We head over to ball.
Alexis Torres with a double twist. Saw the same vault from Syque Caesar. Good clean landing. We're not one of the higher start values, but you get a couple of those ones in early in the lineup, land on your feet, and hopefully you get the big guns later.
Yeah, Randy Jepson saying that was maybe the most conservative vault in the Penn State lineup that we will see. CJ Schaff over on the horse.
And the last time we saw CJ, he was injured in competition in Iowa, actually popped his collarbone, and now is unfortunately not doing all around for Nebraska, but still is on a couple events, the pommel horse and the vault. Disappointing way to finish his career, but luckily he could get back out there and compete. Otherwise, his collegiate career and season would have been over. Great fight. Great fight. Some form breaks in there, but man, what a fighter.
Competed in the all-around 3 times this year here for Nebraska. You can see the emotion there on his face. That routine meant a lot to him. Matthew Fellman for Penn State on vault just moments ago.
Love to see that emotion, the passion. Another 2.5. You can see a trend here on vault. There's going to be a lot of double twists and a lot of 2.5s. And for the most part, which team is going to land cleaner? Which one is going to stick a couple of those? Again, those sticks can make a huge swing in a team score.
Nick Hunter, 5th in the country here on P-bars. Averages about a 15-1 on this event.
Jeff Corrigan, the assistant coach for Michigan, thinks Nick is one of the best looking gymnasts as far as his lines and his style, and you can see it right there. A perfect handstand, perfect toe point. Beautiful peach hand. Tough sequence, a giant to 1 bar. Nice, that's called the Bavzar, actually named after former Ohio State Buckeye gymnast Raj Bavzar. This is going to be a big score. If he can stick this landing, look out. Oh! Other than that landing deduction right there, that was about as clean. I think Nick can do that set.
Again, his teammates, Gaarenstroom recording the career-high 14-9, Stacey Irvin with a 14-1. Andrew Margolis here for Illinois.
This guy is a beast. You can see the numbers that Illinois has on their back. They decided that they wanted to have numbers, and Andrew's got 36, and he said that was the number he got on the first team he was ever on as a little kid, and said, you know what, that's my number. And here he is wearing it at the Big Ten Championships.
And Illinois, the only team in the country who wears numbers like that on the uniforms.
I like it. I think it's cool. Maybe you'll buy an Andrew Margolis number 36 jersey after the meet, huh, Lisa?
Illinois searching for consistency on this event. Known for some huge swings in some of these routines.
Can we get another stuck landing? And we do. I'll tell you what, you said it, Lisa. Can Illinois be the dark horse? The energy coming from their corral is unrivaled in this arena right now. They are pumped. Do not mess with Margolis. He is amped up.
I love it. back and forth we go. Syque Caesar now on the P-bars. A team captain ranked #1 in the country in this event.
They have the #1 ranked gymnast in the country going up on the event, and in the background you have Sam Mikulak. I mean, talk about having a loaded lineup. Another giant to one bar. Love that trick. It's really tough.
Tomorrow he'll be trying to win, if he can get to tomorrow, trying to win 3 of these P-bar titles.
I mean, right now it's tough just to beat your own teammates if you're from Michigan on this event.
Nick Hunter recording the 14.85 before him.
Ooh, he dumped that double pike a little bit. When I say dumped it, it didn't pop off the bars quite like he usually can do it. But again, I mean, I'm nitpicking here because there's really not a whole lot wrong with these Michigan parallel bar routines.
And some high scores coming in here for the Wolverines. Syque Caesar goes off. We saw Sam Mikulak hopping back on. Here's Néstor Rodriguez on the vault.
There's another 2.5, and there's just another small hop on the landing. Not much to say.
Andrew Margola's score coming in. We saw how fired up he was. How about a career high 14.95 on rings there for Illinois.
Man, I'm trying to catch my breath here. I mean, it's just one after the other.
Mitchell Landau, 5th in the country in this event. Averages about a 15.167.
This is one of those guys, he makes the event just look easy. The Giants just seem to effortlessly go around the bar. Great pirouetting work like that.
One of the Iowa City kids that stayed home, competing for the hometown school.
Nice job. Nice job. Really no visible deductions. The thing that the judges are going to do is they're going to look at handstand positions. And when I say handstands, it's where he finishes those pirouettes. But other than that, great set for Iowa.
Trevor Howard here in the 4th spot for Penn State.
Another guy who could show up in those all-around rankings. Started off on a good event for him, the rings, and goes to another good one, the parallel bars, or the vault, rather.
We see Sam Mikulak getting ready on the P-bars, and last year, this is what we saw him do. 15.95.
I never get tired of watching this guy. And that is really his trademark, is that stuck dismounts. He can stick landings as well as any gymnast I have ever seen.
He's already has 2 Big Ten Gymnast of the Year honors. There's only 2 other gymnasts who have 3 or more. Do you know who they are?
No, Lisa, do you?
Blaine Wilson.
Oh, I know Blaine.
And John Roethlisberger.
I did not do that. That's when they had black and white film and they didn't have electricity, I'm pretty sure.
It was in standard depth.
Sam has had to change his routine a little bit from earlier in the season. He had a skill called a Healy twirl that he had to take out. It was actually a relatively easy skill. Watch that. We saw it from Stacey Irvin. No one does it better than Sam Mikulak, though. Took out the Healy twirl, added some other things in. Really not going to hurt his start value. He starts at a 16.4, which is a huge start value on parallel bars. And there you go. I told you he could stick those landings. No one is going to have a higher parallel bar score today than Sam Mikulak. Nobody. That was amazing.
Michigan has the last 3 P-bar titles individually between Syque Caesar and Sam Mikulak. Here's the all-arounder here for Illinois.
CJ Maestas is strong, too. And we talked about that tricep injury he had last year. Ironically, he said rings isn't an event that it really has lingered. He feels great on this event. It's the parallel bars and even the pommel horse where it's hurt him a little bit.
Illinois' first NCAA ring title as a freshman. Now competing as a junior.
really conditioning for CJ has been his biggest obstacle coming back. You know, he's got his skills, but you got to do a lot of routines to get in competition shape, and that's where he struggled a little bit. He has had to keep out some of his more difficult skills because of endurance, but there's another one! Man, there's some people who want to be Big Ten champions this year, and Illinois is hoping to surprise. Beautiful double twisting double, stuck it. We will see him in the event finals.
Energy is high here tonight. CJ Maestas in the anchor spot, the only time we'll see him in the anchor spot here tonight. Because of that injury, trying to put him in different spots where he can succeed in the lineup. Back to the vault.
Watch this, one of the toughest vaults in the world. Unbelievable. That was a handspring pike double front, and you couldn't really see it that well from the head-on position, but his legs, instead of being in the tuck position, which we see a lot of guys do it, he pikes his legs, keeps his legs straight. Unbelievable difficulty, and just smokes the landing. Might be the best vault we see in this competition.
Tristan Duverglas, the world-class level vault. 3 first-place finishes this year. These fans are getting a treat here tonight. 7 Big Ten teams competing for the team championship and the all-around title here tonight. A few moments ago, Ethan Lottman for Nebraska, the sophomore, competing on the horse. His only event here tonight.
Ethan's a good pommel horseman. And you can see the hips are a little higher. That's how you can really tell somebody's got good swing. If their body is real straight, if you see a lot of space in between their legs and the body of the horse. Obviously, form deductions, those are the obvious things. You also want to have good speed in your swing. Don't want to break rhythm. So far, this looks very good. Should have pirouetted on that dismount, which will lower the difficulty. He doesn't seem to mind. Anytime you stay on the pommel horse and you hit clean, it's worth a smile.
That was moments ago. Lottman's score coming in as a 14.65 to the floor. Ellis Mannon, the all-arounder here for the Gophers.
And we saw Minnesota score on the high bar their first rotation. They put themselves in about a 7-point hole compared to the leader. Certainly Minnesota not one of the favorites coming into this meet to win it, but I tell you what, I promise you, if you're the coaching staff from Minnesota, you tell your team, look, you go out there, you hit routines, and anything can happen, and that right there is a really surprising and unfortunate mistake on that pressing handstand. On his feet.
Not a lot of reps here on floor, only the 3rd time competing on this event here this year.
And Ellis is just competing. Again, he's just competing this event to get an all-around score. So this is not going to count towards Minnesota's team total. And clearly not one of his better events. None of the event was stocked with difficulty. But again, a great opportunity for him to compete in the all-around at the Big Ten Championships. And his best event, pommel horse, is coming up.
So that'll wrap up here our 2nd rotation here between these 6 teams. And Ohio State drawing the bye. We saw Michigan on the P-bars. What a job. State Farm State of Success. The 16 Big Ten titles. The 2013 NCAA champs. Kurt Golder and company trying to defend that, but it is going to be tough. Did you see some of those routines? We have more here coming up. Be sure to join us tomorrow. We'll be right back here in Lincoln, the individual competition of the 2014 Big Ten Men's Gymnastics Championships. Coverage begins at 5 Eastern live on BTN and BTN to go. After the 2nd rotation is down, Minnesota head coach Mike Burns joining us now. And coach, coming off of the floor, you improved your season high by more than 3 points here tonight. How did you do it?
I'm not sure those stats are correct. We didn't have a very good floor exercise performance, so we got a little work to do. I'd have to look at the stats to see if I would agree with you on that.
We just raised your score for you, Mike.
Well,
don't worry about it.
I don't know. Did you put an inquiry in on every one of our guys?
Mike, you know, you had a rough start. High bar was rough.
Yep.
There's a long way to go. You're top 3 at the Big Ten last year. What do you tell your team to get them back on track and hopefully find a way back up there?
You know, they got to stay determined. They got to stay unified. They got to make sure that they realize how good they really are. They're kind of trying to be too good or trying to be too tense. They're a little bit tense, so we got to loosen them up. We got to tell a few jokes in the back room during our bye and get them back on track where they need to be.
All right, Mike, thanks for the time. We appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Good luck, Mike.
Yep.
The results here, his team on the floor will make that correction. There's actually 3 points less than their season high. The numbers got switched around a little bit. On pommel horse here for Nebraska, the 14.65, Ethan Lottman leading the way there for the Huskers. And rings for the Illini.
We saw a lot of energy over there from the Illinois Corral.
A season high for them. That is confirmed. 75, over a 75 for the team total there for the Illini, and on the vault there for Penn State. Michigan on the parallel bar. Sam Mikulak, the 16-1, a new NCAA record set with that score. You knew it would be a big one.
16s on any event, that is humongous.
And Iowa there on the high bar, the 14-8, Mitchell Landau leading the way there for the Hawkeyes.
I tell you what, ouch though, like Minnesota, they have a 12, but they also have an 11. And just to put those scores in perspective, you know, if you see a 15, in my opinion, a 15 helps you win. If you see a 14, that kind of keeps you in it. If you start to see the 13s and the 12s, those help you lose. So you want to see the 14s, you got to see some 15s, but if you can see a 16 like we saw from Sam Mikulak, that is going to go a long way.
So 2 rotations down. And you see the team totals there after the 2 rotations. Michigan still in the lead after the second rotation as well as the first.
And obviously it's hard to judge now. Ohio State, which was second after the first rotation, they're on the bye. So it's going to be hard to compare apples to apples the rest of the way until everybody has gone through that bye rotation.
Iowa headed to the floor, Ohio State to the pommel horse, Nebraska to the rings. And you see Stacey Irvin there from Michigan. He has been scratched there from the high bar lineup for the Wolverines. Matt Freeman is now in for Michigan.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate. You know, it crossed my mind when he came off in that double pike we talked about on parallel bars, that dismount. He hung it up a little bit, and he kind of wiggled his arm as he walked off. And it struck me that maybe something, you know, was bugging him, but I didn't think it would be that serious. That is a huge setback for Michigan. That's going to put them in a tough spot to hold off Ohio State.
Misha Koudinov, the senior here for Ohio State, leads things off for the Buckeyes.
And this is a great event for Ohio State. They're number 2 in the country. And certainly they don't know the situation with Stacey Irvin, but blood is in the water right now. And if they can put together a great pommel horse routine, look out, Wolverines, because they could take control of this competition.
The top 3 gymnasts you will see are from Ohio State in this event.
A little struggle there on the dismount. Other than that, good routine. That is going to be a fairly significant deduction. Might not have looked like much on the TV, but when you hit the legs and you stop on the way up to the handstand, the judges can really get you if they want to.
Heading over to the high bar, this is Matt Freeman, the replacement here for Stacey Irvin, who was scheduled to be in the second spot. Matt Freeman now leading things off here for Michigan.
And this can go one of 2 ways. If you're a last-minute substitution, sometimes it takes the pressure off and you just let her fly. But sometimes you're cold and you're not mentally prepared and things fall apart. Michigan absolutely needs a hit from this guy right now. A little flat. When I say flat, that needs to be right up to the handstand, that last skill. Matt only has a 15.2 start value on this routine, so if he hits it perfect, which he's already had some deductions, he can get a 15 too. We just got done talking about how important those 15s and 14s are. He's not going to get in the 15s. He is hoping he can somehow finagle a 14 for his Wolverines. Going to be tough though. And that will help. That will help a lot. The biggest cheerleader on that team now is Stacey Irvin.
Big-time performance there from Matt Freeman. Michigan needed it to lead things off there on the high bar. Heading back to Illinois on vault. Alex Varga leading things off.
I don't know. He stuck it. He did what the gymnasts, they did the quick turn to the judge, and that's definitely a technique, no doubt about it. If you're a little off balance and you're just fighting for that landing, take a quick turn to the judge and hope you get the stuck. I don't know if it's going to work that time, though.
Remember, keep an eye on Illinois, maybe the sleeper team coming off a team season high there on rings after the second rotation. We'll come back to Michigan here on the high bar. We'll head over and back to the horse. Jake Martin here for Ohio State, 4th in the country in this event.
You can see why. That swing we talked about. Look at how high his body is. Nice straight lines. A little split there. Horse judging can tend to be some of the toughest judging in gymnastics. Even when things look perfect, they find a way to take deductions, but not a lot there. A few foot breaks during the course of that routine, but all in all, Jake Martin, nicely done.
Heading back to the high bar, Konner Ackerman, the sophomore. He started competing March 1st on vault and high bar for Michigan.
Clean gymnast as well. Konner has a 15 4-star value. This event, one of the weaker events for Michigan and Kurt Golder's squad. He said that yesterday during practice, this is one event where they've struggled a little bit this year. And now losing Stacey Irvin is going to only make it more challenging for them. But he did his job. Got up there, hit a set. They've got some big start values coming up later. Those guys early did exactly what they needed to do. Be as clean as possible and hit.
Hunter Caesar Mikulak up next here from Michigan. We head back to the ball.
Cameron Rogers. Oh, that's going to be a big hit. He did a Yurchenko 1.5 twist, but he tucked it. And that is going to significantly lower his start value. That one's going to hurt a little bit.
Sean Melton on horse here for Ohio State, 5th in the country. You believe one of the top contenders against Sam Mikulak for the all-around.
Yeah, no doubt about it. But as long as Sam is putting up scores in the 16s.
That set NCAA records?
Nobody's going to touch him. But it's gymnastics. Anything can happen. Sam still has to go to high bar, still has to go to pommel horse, which are tough to hit. And Sean does his job.
Heading back over to the high bar, Nick Hunter here of Michigan. Scored above a 15 in the last 2 meets.
And now the start values start to ramp up a little bit. Nick is into that 15-7 range. And Michigan will finish with their 2 big dogs, 2 of their big dogs, Syque, Caesar, and Sam Mikulak. So if Nick can set them up, get in that 15 range again. Big break right there. Michigan needs a stuck landing bad right now. Not going to get it. But they did get another hit set.
As you had mentioned, Syque Caesar, Sam Mikulak still coming up here for Michigan. Head back to the P-bars for Penn State, Néstor Rodriguez. His coach says has one of the cleaner and smoother routines that he has seen.
Néstor's battled some injuries, a lot like many of the gymnasts here, but he's come back and really stepped up in an important part of Penn State's team.
Next from Michigan on linebacker, Syque Caesar.
Not bad. Let's not forget about Penn State here. You know, they're just clicking along. They're doing their job. They're hitting routines. Given the opportunity, they could sneak up that standings.
CJ Maestas here for Illinois on vault.
Quick and powerful. That is what CJ is. Yurchenko double full. Definitely capable of doing a 2.5, I think.
Heading back to Syque Caesar here on high bar for Michigan. 9th in the country. On the road this year, he scored a 15-8 in this event.
Syque is our guest commentator a couple weeks ago in Michigan. He was taking a break that weekend from competition, resting up, and hopefully that rest was good because they need a big set right here. Nice, that's called a full Takamoto. Does it right to a handstand. This is a big routine. Oh, and unfortunately, it gave away a bunch of deductions on that landing. Sam Mikulak getting ready to go, but Syque Caesar, that's going to be a big number.
We'll wait on his score. Heading back to Michael Newburger here for Ohio State on the pommel horse.
This routine is world class. This is so much fun to watch. If he hits this, no one in this competition, in this country, collegiately can beat this guy. Look at that right there, a spindle while traveling the length of the horse. I didn't think that was humanly possible when I was doing gymnastics.
Had about a 15-7 for the 10th consecutive week on this event.
This horse routine is so difficult. And we will see him in the event finals. Coach Casimiro Suarez, you can see him right there. Former Cuban great gymnast. Ohio State loving it.
Trevor Howard on the P-bars here for Penn State.
We see a lot of those pike front 1 1/4s where they land on their arms. Really tough on the body. I feel like the more you punish yourself on parallel bars, the more your start value seems to go up. With skills like that.
His teammate Néstor Rodriguez recording a season-high 15-3 before him.
Penn State, they are hanging around.
He won that event in the last regular season home meet. Heading back to vault. Last year on this event, Fred Hartville here for Illinois.
And I've seen him do that a few times, man. He can stick that vault as well as anybody in the country. And it is a very hard vault to stick. Coming in blind. 2.5 twist. It's your Chenko style vault, which means he does a round off onto the board, going onto the vault table backwards. Ooh, and he tried to stick it. You saw that deep squat trying to hang on. Can't do it. Both feet go out of bounds that time. That's a 3/10 deduction, plus the hop. Probably 6/10 on that landing alone, but other than that, a great vault.
Heading back over to the defending all-around champ, Sam Mikulak.
And Sam always seems so cool and so calm. I gotta think, under that exterior, the nerves have gotta be just flying. A lot riding on this routine. Some big gymnastics. Watch this. That's the Coleman, double back over the bar with a full twist. Probably the most difficult single piece of gymnastics done in this competition. Nice combination. The Lynch again that we saw earlier. Another release combination. Double twisting, double layout, and there it is. The patented Mikulak stick.
That comes after setting an NCAA scoring record on the P-bars. That's going to be another high score there for the high bar.
That's going to be another 16. I'd almost guarantee it. He starts at a 16.6 on that routine, and he smoked it.
Alexis Torres here for Penn State.
We saw two of the big dogs for Ohio State and Michigan just now, one going on horse, Newburger, and then Sam Mikulak over on the high bar answering. And here we have Penn State doing their best Big Ten championship impression, hanging in there in the team competition as well. Another good routine. Those routines are going to push that 15. Probably not get over that number. Saw a few breaks in there. He starts at about a 15.6.
Penn State's going to have a fairly high score, though, in that event. A couple of season highs there from their individual scores. Wyatt Aycock there for Nebraska.
Coach Schmelka told his team coming into this meet, you know what, you come in, you keep your heads down, you don't watch other teams, have fun, and you just do your job. And really, that's the mantra for the sport of gymnastics. There's no defense. There's only offense. You're in control of yourself, and that's all you can control.
As we watch this routine, Sam Mikulak's score coming in as a season-high 16 on the high bar.
It would have shocked me, honestly, if it would have been higher than that. That's a big score, though. And there we go. The stuck double twist and double back seemed to be contagious on the rings. We saw Illinois pull one out. Here we go with Nebraska.
The home crowd like that from the hometown team. Over to the vault, Chandler Eggleston here for Illinois, second in the country in this event.
The same vault we saw from Fred Hartville. See if he can stick this landing, though. Big! That is ginormous. Just rockets off the vault table. We talk about these freshmen, and they are just poised. You saw Sean Melton, and now Chandler Eggleston has won numerous Freshmen's of the Week. Great gymnast.
5 consecutive during this season. 3 rotations down. We have 4 more to come. The 4th rotation around the corner. The Bob Devaney Center, a Big Ten champion to be decided between our 7 men's gymnastics teams alongside John Roethlisberger. I'm Lisa Byington. Wow, 3 rotations already down and a lot of action there already.
Where's the oxygen, Lisa? I mean, seriously. I mean, it's just one after the other and some great gymnastics. You know, obviously Michigan, Ohio State battling it out, but Illinois has really surprised. That horse rotation, though, for Ohio State, that is going to be big, along with what's going to happen with Michigan and Stacey Irvin being out of the lineup, because he is outstanding on floor and outstanding on vault, and they are going to miss him sorely on those events.
The Hawkeyes finishing up on floor there in the 3rd rotation. Joining us now is head coach J.D. Reeve. And I know, Coach, is probably not the team score that you would want on the floor. What happened there in that event for you guys?
Yeah, the guys are carrying a little bit of nerves with them from some high bar mistakes that we made, but we got 3 more rotations to go. This thing is not over until the last routine lands.
J.D., you know, you guys are really point towards the postseason. Last year, you shocked a lot of people. What is it that you guys do? What's your philosophy for coming into the end of the season?
Whole season is about preparation. Everything is practice for postseason. We have to be peaking, and obviously we need to keep our nerves under wraps as well.
Coach, thank you for the time. We appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Good luck, JD.
Thank you.
So the Hawkeyes now move to the bye there in the 4th rotation. I had mentioned the score there for the Hawkeyes. 3 points below their season high there for the floor exercise, and certainly some scores there that they would like to improve on individually. The pommel horse there for Ohio State, Michael Newburger. We saw his performance, a season high.
That 15 is huge on pommel horse.
The rings, Robbie Cox there for 15-2. There for Nebraska in the home team. And Austin Epperson, the 14.75. That was a career high for him. For Illinois on vault, the 14.85, pacing the way.
And that 13 at the bottom is going to hurt for sure.
Parallel bars there. Néstor Rodriguez with the 15.3, followed by Trevor Howard there with the 15.1 for Penn State.
Good parallel bars for the Nittany Lions.
Leroy Clark, the 14.7 is a season high for him. In the high bar, Sam Mikulak, the 2nd 16 score he has gotten here tonight. Syque Caesar, the 14.9. Remember, Stacey Irvin did not compete on the high bar there for Michigan. Instead, Matt Freeman replaced.
And really, that score from Matt Freeman, honestly, is probably the most important score for Michigan on that event. Even though it wasn't a big one, it was good enough to keep them where they are right now.
Michigan still in the lead after 3 rotations. Paced by Penn State there in 2nd place. We've talked about Illinois being the sleeper team, but look at the Nittany Lions still keeping pace here with the Wolverines.
Yeah, no, that's outstanding. And obviously Ohio State on the bye, so they're a rotation behind. But yeah, Penn State, 1 point off the pace that Michigan's setting. That's outstanding.
And talk about a Penn State gymnast, Trevor Howard in 2nd place behind Sam Mikulak. C.J. Maestas here for Illinois in 3rd right now. That is your all-around competition. Of course, as a reminder, we are handing out the team Big Ten championships and the all-around champion here tonight. The top 10 qualifiers, the top 10 scores from these events individually will compete in tomorrow's individual events. You can see that broadcast live here on the Big Ten Network at 5 Eastern.
And Sam Mikulak's in a great spot. We saw those all-around standings. He has about a 2-point lead over Trevor Howard. Trevor Howard did start on 3 events that are probably more of his high-scoring events: rings, vault, parallel bars. He still has to do the pommel horse. So Sam's in a good spot. Sam hits. He's going to repeat as the Big Ten all-around champion. There's no question about that. C.J. Maestas could give Trevor Howard, though, a little push for that 2nd spot.
As the team's warming up here for the 4th rotation, you see Sam Mikulak and Michigan will begin on the floor. Minnesota on the horse, Ohio State to the rings, Nebraska to the vault, Illinois to the P-bars, and Penn State to the high bar. Michigan leading the way after 3 rotations, 2nd in the country in the floor exercise.
And I watched Michigan warm up floor exercise before this competition, and I tell you what, I thought I was watching a world championship team. They were through the roof, just doing some amazing stuff. However, one of the guys that was doing that was Stacey Irvin, and unfortunately he is injured, but they have got some they've got some depth, though, and I think they're going to be a lot of fun to watch. This is a good event for them that hopefully they can, for the Wolverines, maintain that lead.
And we're told that Stacey Irvin is done for the night. His right arm actually in a sling as he stands and watches his team here perform on the floor. Anthony Stefanelli leading things off, the freshman for Michigan.
I mean, that was too much power. That was an Arabian laid-out double front. He made it look easy, but one of the more difficult skills on this event, and a double twisting, double back, coming back the other direction. Ooh, and the easiest pass he's done so far in the routine gives him the most trouble. Dodges a bullet on that last pass, 2.5 twist punch. Brainy almost undercut that Brainy a little too much.
Stefanelli wrap up his routine. We got to remind you, with Stacey Urban out, there will be some lineup changes here for Michigan.
And there's a full in back out dismount. And if you talk about needing every 10th, Michigan does right now, and they got it with that stuck dismount. He's going to get the 2/10 bonus.
You saw Irvin there in the corral cheering his teammates on. Matthew Fellman here on high bar for Penn State. 7th in the country in this event.
And this is going to be a big test for Penn State. Because obviously high bar, an event where things can go wrong quickly, and when they go wrong, they can really go wrong. So far, no problem for Fellman. Nice release combinations.
Wrapping up his routine.
Has a good start value too. Should have over a 16 start value, which is unusual for the first guy up in a rotation.
Sammy Chamberlain here for Nebraska.
Another good double full.
This is a vault that he's just learning. First time he performed it was the last home meet there for the Huskers.
Sammy's struggling a little bit with that ankle there. Definitely had good power there. Looks like he could add that half twist and a little bit of difficulty on that event.
Again, in the middle of the 4th rotation, we're going to hop around and show you as many gymnasts as we can. Michigan heading back to the floor. Jordan Gaarenstroom into the lineup now with Stacey Urban out. This is the 2nd gymnast here competing for the Wolverines.
He skirted that line. Not sure if he stayed in. I saw the big toe get awfully close to that white. Danced around a little bit. I have to wonder if the nerves might be getting to Michigan just a tad bit.
Why the nerves now?
Well, you know, they know that this is an event Stacey Urban's capable of getting a 16, and they know he's not in the lineup. So as a gymnast, you start to press a little bit, you know, and when you start pressing, you don't do things the way you usually do. You get a little jittery, you get a little bit nervous. In gymnastics, you can't do anything you don't normally do. You can't amp it up. You can't, you know, get that testosterone going like you would in football and knock that guy off the line. You are who you are. And as soon as you try to be something else, that's when mistakes happen. But he does finish clean. Sticks the landing as we get a look at Stacey.
Stacey Urban in that sling, his right arm, he is done for the night. Heading back over to the rings here for Ohio State, Jake Martin. 4th in the country in the all-around.
Nice back upright plunge, and he's a tall guy. And I can tell you the leverage on that skill when you're tall makes it really difficult, but he did it pretty well.
last year, he injured his knee. A few weeks later, he sprained his MCL, then dislocated an ankle. He's come back now to compete in 6 events.
And that's impressive, but that's life of a gymnast is you got to be resilient and you got to be tough. And Jake Martin has earned his stripes. Ohio State looking good.
Josh Unger on the vault here for Nebraska. The junior. See him in the floor in the high bar as well tonight.
It's going to be another double twist. Good landing. You know, they're, like we said, they're almost carbon copies of each other. It's almost a stick contest when it gets to the vault.
Sean Melton for the Buckeyes on the rings. Struggling at the beginning of the year, as head coach said, which is normal for a freshman. Something clicked after the first semester.
And, you know, we didn't talk about Sean in the all-around standings because obviously they had that bye, so he's really not factoring in at this moment. But trust me, he is going to be near the top when this is all over. If there's an area where Sean can maybe make up some ground on Sam Mikulak, it might be the rings. He's a little stronger. You saw those Maltese positions that he just did. If he can gain ground, though, trust me, it's not a lot. Sam is no slouch, really doesn't have a weakness per se.
So you saw Mikulak already scoring 2.16s tonight, but a pretty good event there for Sean Melton.
And he did an easier dismount, did the C dismount. When you do a C dismount, anything less than a D dismount, you're going to lose 2/10 from that start value. But he did what he had to do, and you saw the landing, and it was stuck, and he will get a 1/10 bonus for that.
Adam Kern, the senior here for Minnesota. Hasn't competed on horse like he has on floor and vault all year long.
Pommel horse for Minnesota in this event. They struggled a little bit getting that full lineup, getting consistent. They have some guys that can swing, but they need to hit. Interesting story, Adam's dad was actually a 76 Olympian ski jumper. His dad, Terry. Not bad, a few breaks, but not bad, stayed on.
Kern, a 3-event gymnast here tonight. Headed over to vault again for Nebraska. Wyatt Aycock.
Right down the center.
CJ Maestas for Illinois on the P-bars.
Number 3 in the all-around right now, and this is an event that he's struggled to get back for from that tricep injury, but it's an event he's really good at because of things like that. Giant double back.
Justin Spring telling us he's about 60% where he should be.
And that was a big dismount, a double front. Oh, and that's unfortunate. He was really close to the uprights, and not sure if that had an effect on that skill. When you're on top of the uprights, you really don't get the spring off the bar, and it just looked like he lacked a little pop, obviously a little rotation. That's going to hurt.
We'll update you on Maestas' score. Syque Caesar here on floor for Michigan.
Beautiful first pass.
And a career high 15.55 this year in Puerto Rico.
A little rough on those flares. We saw his feet hit the floor. Judges are going to hit him for that. Syke's one of the team captains for Michigan, along with Matt Freeman.
Caesar will compete in 4 events here tonight.
And there, again, a double twist dismount. Just a C move, which we talked about, those C dismounts, and what you don't want to see is that hop. You can do an easy dismount, but you got to nail that. That's an easy one for him.
Over to Trevor Howard here for Penn State. The sophomore from Columbus, Ohio. And this is an event Penn State feels like it can go 2 or 3 or 4 routines deep.
They need to go 5 routines deep right now. They're fighting for a Big Ten team title. No problem so far. Break. Again, Penn State hitting routines. They might not have the start values of a Sam Mikulak, but they are hitting routines. They're only a point behind Michigan, so they're doing their job. They want to make this thing interesting for the defending champs.
Drew Moline here for Ohio State on the rings, an event that the Buckeyes are ranked 6th in the country for. Moline, a co-captain, ranked 4th in the country in this event.
Drew, one of the hardest workers on the Ohio State Buckeye team. Does everything that Rustam Sharapov wants. Comes out of Hocking Valley Gymnastics, a great club in Ohio, coached by Mike Serra. Produced numerous great collegiate gymnasts. Here's a full twisting double layout. Wasn't quite in the laid out position. Most likely the judges will give him the difficulty for it, but deduct for piking.
Stan Mikulak, 2nd in the country, beginning his floor routine. Career high last week against UIC, a 15.85.
And that is a heck of a combo. I love it. Combo pass right into the double front. Makes it look really easy. It's not, trust me. Watch this right here. Sam Mikulak doing his best breakdancing impression, the air flare. Very nice. Another Thomas. A rule change, you're only allowed to do one of those rollout skills. That's what that Thomas was, a rollout skill, only one per routine. Another triple twist. We saw one from Jeff Treleaven, first rotation for Ohio State. Sam Mikulak does it well, does take that big hop, and that's probably a 3/10 hop, but really one of the only deductions in that routine. The veteran really trying to put the Wolverines on his back now without Stacey Irvin and also without one of his teammates, Adrian de Los Angeles, who's out of this meet, injured earlier this season.
Grant Purdue here for Nebraska on the vault.
One of the best vaulters in the country. Beautiful Yurchenko 2.5 twist, a little too much juice on that landing.
The highest difficulty in the Nebraska lineup. So the 4th rotation is now down. Michigan had to do a little bit of patchwork. We're missing one of their gymnasts. The 5th rotation around the corner. You can always hear from BTN personalities, get programming information, and so much more. Follow BTN on Twitter today. 4 rotations down. Michigan had been in the lead after the first 3 rotations. And joining us now is the Wolverine head coach. And Coach, I know it's always tough to replace a top gymnast. Stacey Irvin now done for the night. What can you update us on his injury?
Well, he hurt his bicep on the first skill on P-bars and finished out the whole routine, so it was great for him. He fought through. When we get back to Ann Arbor, we'll have our physicians look at him, but it looks like a torn bicep, and we'll see. Syque Caesar tore his bicep 8 days before he left for the Olympic Games and competed in London. So hopefully Stacey can do the same, compete in the NCAA championship, but that'll be up to our physicians.
Kurt, you're a championship team. You've seen a lot of things. You've lost not just Stacey, but Adrian de Los Angeles earlier this year. A couple events yet to go. Can this team pull itself together, and can they still be the defending champs?
Well, we're a real strong pommel horse team and a real strong ring team, so that's what we have left in front of us. So if we hit all our routines, I think we have a good shot.
Coach, thanks for the time.
Thank you.
Good luck, Kurt.
Thank
Michigan
you.
heading to the pommel horse in the 6th rotation, and the rings there in the 7th rotation. Of course, in this 5th rotation, they will be on the bye, and there is Stacey Irvin done for the night. Here is another look at how he got that bicep injury.
Actually, that was his dismount. You know, Kurt Golder talked about how he hurt it on the first skill. You can see right there his right arm, a little bit funky on the bicep, and it might have been hurt. You know, Lisa, they do these skills that we talked about them where they land on their arms, and I know Jonathan Horton, Olympian for the United States, hurt his pec doing that type of skill, and I think that may have been what Stacey did earlier in that set, but regardless, unfortunate.
The floor exercise, you see Sam Mikulak again leading the way. Going into the 3rd rotation, he was in the all-around lead. Minnesota on the pommel horse. Ellis Mannon, another all-arounder, 15 even there for Minnesota. Of course, the Gophers have to count that 12-5 there from Paul Montague as well. Ohio State on the rings. Sean Melton, the 14-9. Drew Moline, a 14-8-5. And on the vault here for Nebraska, Wyatt Aycock and Grant Perdue leading the way at 14-7-5 for those two. A vault event that Nebraska says one of their weakest events. Parallel bars, Jordan Valdez. A season high and a career high, 15-3 for the Illini gymnast. And the high bar results. Wasef Burbar there for Penn State. 14-9-5.
And that last score, that 12-6, that obviously, that really hurts. And they were tight with Michigan going into that rotation, but Michigan earned themselves quite a bit of cushion of about 6 points now going into the next event.
After 4 routines, Michigan still in the lead.
They have a bit of a cushion now, Lisa, as we talked about, and they're on the bye, so it'll be interesting to see where they stack up with Ohio State. But we saw Ohio State a good rings, but they had that low score that they had to count. So we'll all see it shake out here in the next rotation.
Sam Mikulak still in first place in the all-around. Trevor Howard for Penn State in 2nd. See Craig Hernandez here leading things off in the 5th rotation for Penn State on the floor. Nittany Lions tied for 5th in the country, averaging about a 73.383.
Taking a deep breath. You see the gymnast pause in that last corner often to try to gear up. Not bad. A lot of little deductions throughout that routine. But the most important thing, like we talk about, especially in those early routines, just hit and let the big dogs come in at the end of the rotation, put up big numbers.
Penn State on the floor, Iowa on the horse, Minnesota on the rings, Ohio State on the vault, Nebraska on the P-bars, and Illinois on the high bar in this 5th rotation. Headed over to the vaults for Ohio State. Logan Melander.
Big hop sideways on that 2.5 twist. That's about a 15, that is a 15-6 start value, just to give you a frame of reference to some of the other routines that we've seen in today's competition.
That is Mellander's only event here tonight. An event, a lineup, a rotation. Ohio State on the vault, tied for 2nd in the country. We'll see Jake Martin, who is ranked tops in the country there on vault for the Buckeyes. Parallel bars here for Nebraska.
Austin Epperson, he's a legacy here in the Cornhusker land. His parents, Mike and Lisa, were both Cornhuskers.
Lucas Klein, his teammate before him, recording a 14-7.
Not bad. Former junior national team member for the United States comes through for the Cornhuskers.
Heading back to the floor here for Penn State.
That was a tough pass. That was a 2.5 twisting front. Don't see a lot of those.
Wasef Burbar for Penn State, one of the seniors, a 3-event gymnast here tonight.
Next for Ohio State, Jake Martin.
You can see how they really just cruise through this floor team.
Next for Nebraska.
A little low on that punch, Brandy. There's a 2.5 twist dismount. Not bad. Penn State hitting their routines, trying to hold on to that 2nd spot and stay as close as they can to the Michigan Wolverines.
Heading over to Ohio State and the freshman, Jake Dastra, 18th in the country, averaging about a 14-9.
There's another 2.5. Nicely done. Little step backwards on that dismount. Actually, that was Jeff Treleaven. We saw him on the floor exercise, talked about what a good twister he is, and he shows that off on the vault as well.
For Illinois, Chandler Eggleston, a freshman. We have seen him compete in a couple events already. 15 top 5 finishes this year.
Illinois holding on to that 3rd position, but dropping a little further behind Michigan. Big laid out to Tkachev. The stud freshman for Illinois, again, on the big stage. Been good all season, but now in the postseason at the Big Ten Championships, kid still delivers.
Back on floor here for Penn State.
Wyatt, Aycock.
This is Matthew Fellman, the junior.
Very tough dismount, Arabian pike double front. And the laid out front punch double front, similar to what we saw from Sam Mikulak. Real tough combination.
Next for Illinois on high bar, CJ Maestas.
Craig Hernandez before him at 14.65. Lasef Burbar at 14.25.
Good fight. Randy Jepson said his team's coming in here a little healthier, a little more rested, and he said just do your job, hit routines, and that's exactly what they're doing on floor exercise.
CJ Maestas for Illinois. 3 all-around titles this year. We saw his fall on the P-bars in the rotation before this.
And he does some big gymnastics on this event. Same big release that we saw from Sam Mikulak. It's the Coleman. Oh, and it's fingertip catch. He was almost right into our cameras. If those dolls didn't get around the bar, he would have been coming right into your living room. Tell you what, I'd rather brush my teeth with glass than do that release move. That is no joke. Living on the edge, CJ Maestas, recovering from that unfortunate parallel bar dismount. This is actually Jake Martin. We saw Jeff a moments ago, but Jake also a great vaulter. Oh, man, that was awkward landing. A great vault, but I tell you what, those skinny legs he has, looks like they wobble just a tad bit when he hit the mat. Ooh, a little scary, but he seems to be all right, thankfully.
There's a guy who's #1 in the country there in that event. Heading back over to floor in Penn State. Nittany Lions trying to keep pace with the Michigan Wolverines. Alexis Torres, 8th in the country. Has a heel bruise he hadn't landed in about 2 weeks. Has not done a lot of reps on floor.
There's no time for a heel bruise, Lisa. This is the Big Ten Championships. Tape it up, baby. Let's go. Really methodical. Has the same rhythm as he goes through his corners. Just takes a step, starts his next pass.
And following him will be Trevor Howard in 2nd place right now in the all-around behind Sam Mikulak.
Good wide arm handstand. We see a lot of gymnasts. Oh, and that was an unfortunate error. Put his hand down. See a lot of gymnasts do that wide arm handstand where their arms really aren't that wide, but he does it right. There's the 2.5 twist dismount again.
Torres wrapping up his routine. Headed back over to Sean Melton here for Ohio State in the anchor spot here for the Buckeyes.
It's going to be a big vault. It's the handspring double front. We saw Duverglas do it in the pike position. This one will be tucked. Easy. Take it to the bank for the freshman. Tough vault. Looks like it's time for him to pike that thing.
Moments ago, Jordan Valdez on the high bar for Illinois. Leads the country in this event, a 15.33 average. His coach says, I don't worry about him at meets. He's just on autopilot.
Coaches always worry. If they tell you they're not worried, they're lying to you. But Jordan Valdez, one of my favorite guys to watch on this event, doesn't have the big release move like CJ or Sam, but everything he does, look at that, exquisite. Lisa didn't even know I knew what the word exquisite meant. That is outstanding. Tkachev.
If you can say Tkachev, I think you can say exquisite.
That Big Ten education I got. Just immaculate lines, makes everything look simple. Ooh, a little crooked right there. Handles it. The only thing missing from this routine is a stuck dismount. Not anymore, like a tooth in a club sandwich. Jordan brings it for the Illini.
It took to the 5th rotation for you to get that one in.
You got to find the right moment. It's all about timing, Lisa.
Trevor Howard knows all about timing. The defending national champ on floor. Hasn't been great this year, has been good. He's had some landing issues this season.
Big mount. No landing issues on that one. Yep. Saw that left foot go out. 1/10. You know, looking past the team competition, we have individual events that are going to be decided in the event finals. But this event in particular, without Stacey Irvin, who I think was the odds-on favorite to win, it's kind of opened up a little bit for guys like Trevor Howard to maybe step up there and win the title. But
just hopped out of bounds there.
Unfortunate errors like that could keep someone as good as Trevor out of the event finals.
Remember, Howard is trying to keep pace with Mikulak in the all-around competition.
There we go.
You know, he had an opportunity there.
Cleans it up at the end, but unfortunately out of bounds twice, plus the steps when he goes out of bounds. You know, he's looking at maybe up to a point in deductions just on those two situations.
Sammy Chamberlain for Nebraska on the P-bars, the last to go. Shoulder, wrist, ankle issues. His training has been inconsistent this year.
Great giant work on the end of the bars. That's the Healy twirl I mentioned earlier that Sam Mikulak had taken out of his routine. Not bad for Sammy Chamberlain. You can see Jim Hartung right there giving him the double high fives, former Olympic gold medalist.
Team and all-around up for grabs here, but tomorrow, the individual event championships at 5 Eastern. Don't miss any exciting action. Big Ten action on video.btn.com this week, and check out the Big Ten Digital Network's upcoming schedule. We are in the home stretch now to determine a Big Ten champion here in the men's gymnastics championships. Penn State's head coach Randy Jepson joining us. And coach, you have the bye now in the 6th rotation. You finish off on the pommel horse and you continue to pace Michigan. What will be your message here as your guys take a break?
Well, just to relax, finish strong. You know, we've worked hard all year and we've had ups and downs, but we're really pretty well prepared for this meet. But anything can happen, and we need to be in there to fight, to knock out our horse routines and see what happens at the end. You know, just be in a position to push the envelope a little bit.
Randy, I haven't seen you smile once all day, which I think means you're really happy. But, you know, you told me at Michigan you were resting your team and, you know, getting ready for the postseason. It seems like it may have paid off.
Yeah, we had a little bit of setback on high bar. Floor was a little rough for us, but we've been hitting, and that's all you can ask for. I think our guys are laying their heart out there, and, you know, hopefully we can knock it out here in the home stretch.
Thank you, Coach. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Randy.
The results of his team here on the floor exercise. Trevor Howard in competition there in the all-around. 15-plus score there for Trevor Howard. Pommel horse for Iowa and the Hawkeyes, Doug Sullivan. His only event tonight was a good one, a 14-8.
That was good. The 11-8, though, is what you don't want to see in a 12-8.
Over on the rings here for Minnesota, Jack Metcalf, 15-2. Paul Montague, the 14-9.
That was a good vault rotation, or a rings rotation, rather, for Minnesota.
8th in the country, the Gophers average in that event. In the vaults there for Ohio State, Jake Martin, the #1 guy in the country in this event, of 15.05. And Nebraska, P-Bars. The Huskers, the home team, the host team, Sam Chamberlain, 14.75. Lewis Klein, Eric Shriver, Wyatt Aycock at 13.35 there for Nebraska. On the high bar there for Illinois at 15.1, Jordan Valdez. Chandler Engleston, the freshman. We had mentioned him. 15 top 5 finishes this year for the freshman. These teams are finishing up their warm-ups here for the 6th rotation. And Michigan, they're on the bye. Because of that, Penn State takes the initial lead here going into the 6th rotation.
And there's a couple things to look at. You look at how Ohio State compares to Michigan now. They both had their bye, and you see Michigan has a significant lead. They have more than 6-point lead over Ohio State. So now you're comparing apples to apples. You look at Penn State, yeah, they have the lead, but they have yet to go to that bye. So they're certainly in the top 3, but it's hard to tell how close they're going to be to that top 2.
Also to note, Illinois right now, this is their final rotation. They will be on the bye in that 7th rotation. They are right now scheduled in the top 3 scorers here for the team.
This is where the rubber hits the road for the defending champs. Michigan, like Kurt Golder said, they are great on this event, but I don't care how good you are. The pommel horse can win at any time. The pressure is clearly on.
They have 2 specialty horse gymnasts in this rotation. This is one of them.
And I'll be honest with you, if Michigan hits this event, even if they hit 4 out of the 5 routines, it might seal it for them because they have rings last. And that is an event, it is hard to make mistakes. And so far, Novak gets them off to an outstanding start.
Originally scheduled in the 3rd spot, he changed to the leadoff spot and gets the Wolverines out to the right start. Over to the P-Bars and Ohio State.
Now we can compare these routines head-to-head. Michigan on horse, Ohio State on parallel bars. Ohio State is going to need some mistakes from the Wolverines if they're going to close that 6-point gap. And they've got to be perfect. Short of that handstand. Finishes well, but there were a few points in there. Gave away some easy deductions. Those first routines, I give the edge to Michigan so far in this rotation.
The leadoff spot here from the Gophers is Sean Bauer, the junior, out of St. Louis, Missouri.
He's going to do the Yurchenko style vault also with a double twist. Nicely done. Unfortunately for Minnesota, not the competition that they were hoping for coming in.
Matt Freeman here live for Michigan on the horse.
Ranked 10th in the country. You got a good lineup when the second guy up is your 10th ranked nationally on this event. Little struggle there. Good cover though. Going to be a deduction, but he avoids catastrophe. They can afford that mistake. They just can't afford a complete collapse.
Next mascot,
Nicely done. Sometimes in gymnastics, it's not how good your best is, it's how good your worst is. And if your worst routines aren't awful, you're going to be okay. And not that that was bad, but he minimized his mistakes, and sometimes that's what it's all about.
Remember, Matt Freeman also filled in at the high bar when Stacey Irvin went out. Matt Fry there, the senior from Minnesota.
Here we go with another handspring double front. Wow, I saw him struggle with that a little bit in the warm-ups for this event. Does pretty well there. That deep squat, man, my knees just ache watching that as he goes for the high five from Russ Fistrom. My old coach in college, actually.
Matt Fry, that was just the 6th meet on vaults that we saw him here tonight. Misha Koudinov, 13th in the country here for Ohio State.
Misha's an interesting story. He was actually born in Russia, then moved to New Zealand, competed for them, as you could see, competed for their national team, and now here he is training and competing for the Buckeyes in Columbus, Ohio.
As a team, they're ranked second in the country in this event.
Saw a bit of a break early in this routine. He thought maybe it was an opportunity for Ohio State to pick up a few points. Matt Freeman struggled on his horse routine just a little bit.
His teammate Daniel Steiner's P-bar score coming in with a career-high 14.5.
They're hitting, but they're giving away some small deductions here, and they're not getting help from Michigan.
Headed back over to the horse, Nick Hunter. And a career-high 15.2, February 8th of this year.
Nick is really one of the unsung heroes, in my opinion, for the Wolverine squad. You know, you hear about the Sam Mikulaks and the Stacey Irvins and the Adrian de Los Angeles when they went before he got hurt. But this guy quietly puts up some really important routines, some big scores, and some ever important depth. This is a perfect example. Middle of the lineup, boom, delivers.
Kurt Golder saying we don't really have a weak guy in that rotation.
No, they really don't.
Heading back over to vault for Minnesota, Adam Kern.
Going to do the same vault we saw from his teammate Matt Fry moments ago. See if he can do it a little bit better. Oh, another deep landing. You can tell right off the vault board, didn't quite have the heel drive that he needed. Was just a little short of the rotation, but managed to get to his feet.
Jake Martin for Ohio State.
Step on the hand there. That's going to be a 2/10er at least. Nice job. Nice job for Jake. Did a good vault last rotation. Comes up with a good parallel bar routine here. But it's getting to the point where it might be a little too late for Ohio State.
Dylan James, the beginning of his routine here from Michigan. Another one of those specialty gymnasts here on the horse for the Wolverines.
And look at the swing. Just nice straight body. Michigan not giving any room. Right as I say that, again, that is pommel horse in a nutshell. When you think you're on, things can go wrong in a moment.
We'll head back to Dylan James as he wraps up his routine. We'll head over to vault in the meantime.
Ellis Mannon with the Yurchenko double full.
Ellis Mannon in and out of the vault lineup this year. We'll head back now to Dylan James here from Michigan.
Now, we talked about how sometimes it's more important that your worst routines are less worse than the other team. And now it's really important that he gets up, regroups, and finishes clean. Because 5 up, 5 count. This routine is going to count to the team's score. He's got to finish perfect. Nicely done. That could have been a huge score for Michigan. But even with that fall, he minimized his mistakes and minimized the damage.
Heading over to the P-bars here for Ohio State. Second in the country, Sean Melton.
And I don't know if Sean Melton had an eye on that pommel horse or if he knows Michigan made a mistake, but this is an opportunity for the Buckeyes. They have a big gap to close. A fall is 1 point off of your execution score. So theoretically, he could chop a point off that difference between Ohio State and Michigan.
Melton has set the NCAA and Ohio State records.
Very nice peach sequence.
his previous career high. Well, his career high was a 16:05. That was broken tonight by Sam Mikulak. He had the 16:1 tonight.
The freshman answers when they needed it most. They're still going to need more, but that'll help.
And here's Sam Mikulak anchoring once again here on the horse. You see what he has done here this evening.
So your teammate just fell. You're leading the Big Ten championships. You're in your senior year. You're the veteran. You're the favorite. This is where your team leans on you and needs you the most. Automatic. As cool as they come, Sam Mikulak. Wow.
You said it. The senior needed to answer, and he did. CJ Maestas needs to answer for his team for Illinois on the floor. 13 top 5 finishes this year.
At this point, Illinois probably fighting for that top 3. Again, a lot going on. Hard to keep track of the scores exactly, but they're in that range, trying to get in the top 3.
And Illinois again has the bye. This is their final statement here tonight for the team championship.
CJ is a former U.S. national team member. To give you an idea of the caliber of gymnast that he is. Whoa, what a fight. Almost went down. So strong. You see the number 4 on his back. That 4 represents the 4 kids in his family. He said, I put the number 4 on because then when I go out on that floor, I feel like my 3 siblings are with me.
Maestas right now in the top 3 in the all-around competition.
And there's the full in, back out, nails it.
His final statement here tonight. Maestas chasing the all-around. Sam Mikulak's score coming in on the pommel horse, tying a season high of 15-3.
Zach Chase, the Big Ten champ on this event from 2011. Shades of 2011 revisited. Nice 2.5 twist. Be interesting to see if that can squeeze him into the event finals on this event.
Won it his freshman year, runner-up his sophomore year. Wyatt Aycock just getting up on the high bar here for Nebraska. Aycock competing in the all-around for the Huskers.
Just does a simple dismount, just a layout. Clearly battling some injuries as well. That's obviously going to be a deduction to his start value, but other than that, a clean routine.
The 6 rotations down. The 7th and final here coming up. And a couple of champions to crown. One for the team, one for the all-around. Registration is now open for the 2014 BTN Big Ten 10K. Represent your Big Ten school on July 26th in Chicago. The 10K and 5K races include a post-race fan fest that includes Big Ten mascots, food, and more. Register today at btnbig1010k.com. 6 rotations down, our 7th and final rotation here to come. Illinois and Justin Spring, though, have to sit, wait, and watch. They are done here for the night. Coach, how do you evaluate the way your team performed?
We finished great. We started great. Couple events in the middle, though, that kind of took our name a little bit. And I think, unfortunately, the damage was done. But I'm proud of the way they finished. It's really hard to come back off some setbacks, some missed routines, and things like that. And they finished strong, fighting Illini. So I'm proud of the team today.
You know, Justin, you obviously got a lot of talent on this team, and you struggled a little bit with consistency, as you were telling me before the meet. But looking beyond the Big Ten championships, is it trending in the right direction? Do you feel like you could still make a statement at the NCAA championships?
Yeah, I mean, we had some really costly misses here that are 3 to 4 points one routine, and we had a few of those. And so a couple points here and there, you're talking 10 points almost on a couple routines. This 5-of-5 count format is rigorous. And yeah, consistency will be key, and NCAAs is here, but I think we'll be a little bit more prepared and show up a little better team in 2 weeks.
All right, thank you for the time.
Thanks, guys.
Justin Spring in Illinois.
Ohio State is ready.
On the floor,
Minnesota
talked about how he thought that they finished strong. They started strong and finished strong here tonight. CJ Maestas, a 15-5, the lowest score, the 14 from Joey Peters.
That was a good rotation for Illinois.
Pommel Horse from Michigan, Sam Mikulak, needed to have a decent score. He got a 15-3.
It's a great score. Sam might be winning.
For him.
He might be winning every event.
Matt Lockton there for Iowa, leading the way for the Hawkeyes, followed by Matt McGrath, a pair of Matts there, pacing the Hawkeyes. Zach Chase there for Minnesota on vault. And the all-arounder Ellis Mannon with a 14-8. On the P-bars, Sean Melton, the all-arounder, 15-4-5. The lowest score will have to count as a 14-4. And Huskers on the high bar, Austin Epperson, a 14-6. Eric Shriver, the 14-5. And Antonio Castro, that is not something that you want to see.
No, usually a 10 in the old school would be a good thing. Not here today, not with the new rules.
So your updated team scores, again with Illinois, now on the bye, has to sit, wait, and watch. They are pacing the rest, and that is the score to chase, the 435.35.
And really what you're looking at is you're looking at Michigan. You're looking at the rankings of all the teams that have already had their bye. Obviously, Illinois going there now, and Michigan is in the lead amongst those teams, and they have about a 5-point edge right now over the next highest ranked team. So they got a bit of a cushion going into rings, and that's comfortable for them.
That was your team story. How about the all-around story? Sam Mikulak will wrap things up on rings here from Michigan in just trailing Illinois' CJ Maestas.
Yeah, and there's a less than a 10-point difference. Looks like about a 9-point difference. And again, CJ is just now getting to his bye, so that is going to be overcome without a doubt. Sam's going to rings, an event that he is incredibly consistent on. Should take that lead back. Oh yeah, we got some big releases warming up over there on the high bar.
All these teams finishing up their warm-up sessions here to go into the 7th and final rotation.
And there's going to be a nice battle, too, here between Penn State and Ohio State. Right now, actually, Penn State holding that second spot, really what I'm calling the second spot. If you take Illinois out of those rankings, Penn State with just a 1/10 edge over Ohio State. So battling for that second spot, you know, if they're not battling for the first spot, trust me, they want to hold that second spot. So that'll be an interesting little battle with Penn State on the pommel horse and Ohio State on the high bar. That'll be a fun little matchup.
Yeah, the Buckeyes ranked first in the country as a team in this event. We start with Alex Johnson, individually ranked 8th.
Ohio State's got a big start value on this event. Their team total starts at just over an 80. So they have the advantage over Penn State. That's on pommel horse if you're talking about that fight for the second spot. However, both high bar and pommel horse events where things, as we've seen, things can go wrong quickly. Coach Rustam Sharapov under the bar there. I'm not so sure what he's going to do if his gymnast comes off the bar, but he's there for comfort, if nothing else. Not needed, though.
A strong lead-off routine there for the Buckeyes. Alex Johnson and his teammates love it. Over to Iowa on the vault. William Albert and his only event tonight.
Nice double twist. He's a Canadian with Trinidadian citizenship. If you can explain that one to me, I'm not really sure. And he competes for Iowa. Go figure.
His only event coming on the last event. Iowa ranked 9th in the country in vault. Iowa on vault, Minnesota on P-bars. You saw Ohio State there on the high bar, Michigan on the rings, Penn State on the pommel horse, and Nebraska on the floor.
And possibly some future Cornhuskers in the stands, watching their collegiate heroes compete.
The Bob Devaney Center, a wonderful facility. We had mentioned recent renovation. Mr. Rodriguez on the horse here for Penn State.
Next to Michigan, Freeman.
Nittany Lions feeling like they are due on this event.
Fighting, holding on, just like they're trying to hold on to that second spot, trying to fend off the Buckeyes as they come strong.
To give you some perspective, Penn State needs a 68-8 to at least tie Illinois' score here in this final rotation. We head over to the rings for Michigan. The Wolverines need a 63-3 to tie. Here's Matt Freeman.
And that is not going to be difficult for Michigan. A 68-8 for Penn State on horse is not a sure thing either. They do have to hit a 68-9 approximately for Ohio State to catch Illinois. Is certainly doable for them on the high bar.
Colin Mahar coming in at a 15-3 for Michigan. That was a career high. That was the leadoff spot for the Wolverines.
Paused a little long in that inverted hang. Got to try to keep things moving. Great look at the strain that the gymnast goes through on that iron cross.
There's a gymnast who won the ring title last weekend against UIC for Michigan.
Pike double front. First time we've seen that today. Tough dismount. It is a deep value dismount. Michigan just needs to, they just need to get through at this point and avoid any complete meltdowns. I think they know it. They're yucking it up a little on the sidelines.
Here's a gymnast his coach says has untapped potential. Andrew Botto, the freshman on vault for Iowa.
Definitely some power. Clearly capable and probably working on something more difficult. I had untapped potential too, Lisa. It just stayed that way.
And you still do.
It stayed untapped.
Again, the final rotation here for these 7 teams. Illinois in the lead, sitting, waiting, and watching. Ohio State on the high bar. Misha Koudinov, the senior. Alexis Johnson's score coming in the leadoff spot at 15:05.
Rustam Sharapov and the Ohio State Buckeyes 4th last year at the Big Ten Championship. Certainly wanted to come in here and surprise Michigan and win. It doesn't look like that's going to happen, but certainly moving up to that second spot would be big but they have got a little bit of work yet to do. Triple back. Tough dismount. You don't see a whole lot of them, and that's why it is not easy. A lot of action going on.
Heading back over to the rings from Michigan, Jordan Gaarenstroom. 6 of 8 routines this year, a 15-plus score. Again, Michigan needing a 63-3 to at least tie Illinois for the lead.
And they put up a couple 15s in this rotation already. Oh, and struggled to get out of that cross a little bit, but manages to get to that Maltese. Jordan and Sam Mikulak will hopefully go into business together after college. They make their own tea, and after the last rotation, they brought me over a little bit of their special yerba mate. I'm not sure if they're trying to butter me up for some good comments, but they don't need to, man. They look like Big Ten champs.
I noticed they only brought 1 cup, not 2.
I'll share.
Freeman recording a 15 for Michigan. I mentioned the career-high 15-3 for Mahar. This is Gaarenstroom in the 3rd spot.
So Michigan continue to do their job.
Headed back over to the vault here for Iowa. Cyrus Dobre-Mofid.
Cyrus's mom, a world champion for the country of Romania, if you can believe that. I remember watching her back in the day. Not what he was hoping to finish with. That's going to sting a little bit tomorrow.
Next for Nebraska, on floor, Josh.
Jake Martin on the high bar for Ohio State. Tied for 2nd in the country.
Ohio State, after 3 routines of this rotation, they've gained a little bit of a cushion over Penn State, about 1.5 points. Penn State obviously on horse, Ohio State on high bar. If they can just stay on the bar, they will be in that 2nd spot. Big combination, 2 Tkachevs in a row, right on his fingertips.
The 1st in the country on this event as a team. The Buckeyes needed a 68-9 to tie Illinois.
Oh, and another one. It looked like it was just at the end of his grips. Look at the coaches here, like surrounding the bar. There's one sliding the mat. There's one on either side of them. There we go.
Jake Martin with the big-time performance there for Ohio State. Trying to creep up the team rankings here in the 7th and final rotation. And they have Sean Melton still coming up.
And they will definitely, if Melton can just stay on, they will be in that 2nd spot at least.
Here's Craig Hernandez in the anchor spot for Penn State. He won it last year.
They need a big score. They have a miss now, a 13-8 approximately earlier in this rotation. And Ohio State not giving them any breaks on high bar. Hernandez obviously would love to make it into the event finals, win another pommel horse title, certainly capable.
To be in the top 10 scores to make it to tomorrow's individual competition.
That's how it's done.
So Penn State, as a team, now done in that 7th rotation. Back over to vault here for Iowa. Matt McGrath. 3 events, and he's anchored them all.
That is actually not Matt McGrath. That looks like Lockton to me. McGrath is in the background there getting ready to go on his vault.
So Lockton, the sophomore, in the 4th spot. Matt McGrath will finish him after him, the redshirt senior. The 2 Matts in the 4th and 5th spots there for Iowa. And here's live Sean Melton on the high bar for Ohio State.
He's got big gymnastics. We saw him warming it up before this rotation. There's one. It's the Coleman. Perfectly clean. Here comes another one. It's the Kovacs. So difficult.
Sean Melton will need a 13-3 to tie CJ Maestas in the all-around competition.
And he's going to get it. This routine is just chock full of difficulty. One of the toughest that we've seen today, and he nails the landing. What a tough routine. I tell you what, it's like the 2nd grade spelling bee, and you just drew the word chrysanthemum, and he answers. What a job for the freshman.
And here is Sam Mikulak, the all-around favorite, trying to defend his title. Needs a 9-6 at least to tie.
I don't think that's going to be tough for the man, the myth, the legend.
Trying to be the first gymnast since Blaine Wilson, 95-97, to win 3 Big Ten all-around titles.
Lisa, I'll bet you my yerba mate tea that Sam Mikulak sticks this double-double dismount coming up.
That's a lot of stakes, John Roethlisberger.
Here he comes. I don't even need to watch.
For the all-around title.
Oh, come on, Sam. I got to give up my tea, but Sam Mikulak will not give up the Big Ten all-around title. What a performance. What a gymnast. One of the best ever, in my opinion.
A Big Ten champion, an NCAA all-around champion, a U.S. champion, 2nd in prelims in the World Championships. His resume grows and grows. We'll let you know what his official score is when it comes in. Trevor Howard here for Penn State.
Trevor Howard finishing up his all-around competition. The 5 scores that will count for Penn State's team score, they are complete. Hernandez was their last man up for their team total, but Trevor fighting for that all-around still.
He needed a 12.55 before the Mikulak performance to at least tie CJ Maestas.
This is incredible fight. He is wrestling that pommel horse. He will rip that pommel off before he falls. What a fight. Not a clean routine. It's not going to be a high score, but I tell you what, man, you can see the smile. I love gymnastics like that. I love to see a guy say, I don't care what it takes, I'm staying on.
We will wrap things up. Sam Mikulak, smile on his face, defending his all-around title. But what will Michigan as a team do? Be sure to join us tomorrow. We'll be right back here from Lincoln. It's the individual competition of the 2014 Big Ten Men's Gymnastics Championships. Coverage begins at 5 p.m. Eastern live on BTN and BTN to go. 7 rotations down. 7 teams competing for a championship. Here are your results from that 7th rotation on the floor there for Nebraska. Grant Purdue with the 15-2. Purdue in the anchor spot there for the Huskers, and pommel horse here for Penn State. Craig Hernandez with the 15-1. Michigan on the rings. Alex Bubnov, the 15-5, and Sam Mikulak tying a career high with the 15-3-5 there on rings. And speaking of Michigan, the Wolverine way, the championship way, the 2014 Men's Gymnastics champions of the Big Ten once again.
Stacy's bicep is okay enough to hold that trophy, apparently.
Michigan getting the season high on rings in the final rotation, a 76.15. They just needed a 63.3 to catch Illinois. Hail to the victors, the Wolverines, the first back-to-back titles since 1999 and 2000. And your other apparatus results from the 7th rotation in Iowa. They're on the vault. William Albert, Matt Lockton, and the two Matts, Matt McGrath, they're pacing the way. Parallel bars. Steve Yachuk for Minnesota, the 15.35. And Ohio State, Jake Martin, the 15.45, followed by Sean Melton's the 15.1.
Great finish for Ohio State on high bar.
But an interesting finish, always interesting when one of those teams has to take the bye, and Illinois had to sit, wait, and watch, and Michigan surpassing the Illini there for the title in the 2014 Big Ten Championship. Joining us now, Michigan head coach Kurt Golder. Coach, first of all, how do you evaluate your 7th rotation there on the rings, a season high, knowing that you could take the title going into that final rotation?
Yeah, well, I knew it was a strong event for us. I was more concerned about pommel horse, but that's been real consistent for us all year. We did have one mistake there, but that was the only mistake we had all night.
You know, you had a little adversity, obviously, during the competition, Kurt, and even before the competition. How does this championship rank with some of the ones you've gone through before?
Well, it ranks right up there. I don't know. I've never seen a group of guys fight so hard, never give up, overcome adversity. I'm just so very proud of them.
Coach, thank you for the time. Congratulations on the championship. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
And we'll be back to talk to that man, Sam Mikulak, defending his all-around title. We'll hear what he has to say about it around the corner. Welcome back to Lincoln, Nebraska. And your all-around results, Sam Mikulak, your 2014 all-around champion, defending his title like only Sam Mikulak can.
A comfortable win, 4 points, and he really separated himself from the field. You can see after that, Sean Melton certainly lives up to his billing as a stud freshman coming in second.
Here's a little bit of a look back at his day there on vault. On high bar, the 16 score there on high bar. On floor, a 15.7. And then on horse, the 15.3. And the P-bars setting the NCAA record with a 16.1. Sam Mikulak, the all-around champ. Michigan, your 2014 Big Ten men's gymnastics champion. Join us right back here in Lincoln tomorrow night at 5 p.m. Eastern for the individual championships. For John Roethlisberger, I'm Lisa Byington. We'll see you tomorrow. Congrats to Michigan, the 2014 Big Ten men's gymnastics team champion.